Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate you joining us for our move-in webinar, where we are going to get you all of the details for your move-in for the fall of 2024. Before we begin here, I just want to go ahead and start us off with a little bit of information for you, and a little bit of housekeeping. So, Corinne, if you don't mind advancing to the next slide. If you need any assistance at all, if you can't hear me, of course you wouldn't be able to hear me say that, but if you're having any trouble with your audio whatsoever, you can always connect to our webinar by calling in as well. And just so you know, we will be recording this presentation as well. If you registered for this webinar, we will automatically send you one of those links tomorrow after that video has been uploaded to our YouTube, and then it is always going to be available on our YouTube from here on out. So you will always have access to that webinar recording when you need it. We will be using something called the Q&A feature tonight in order to ask the questions that you want answered so badly. We have a bunch of admissions and university student housing staff ready to answer those questions for you. So if you head to the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a little square with a question mark inside of it. It might say Q&A if you're on a larger computer screen, or it might just be that square with a question mark in it. If you all don't mind, to test that feature, go ahead and drop where you're from in the Q&A feature for us, just so that we can make sure that it is working for us. So if you all will go ahead and test that out, I will go ahead and switch it over to Corinne. Corinne, it's all you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So hello and welcome. My name is Corinne Fagenstrom. I serve as the Senior Associate Director of University Student Housing, and we have a great presentation for you tonight. It's meant to help families and students prepare for and navigate the move-in process and fall weekend 2024. We're going to cover some basic logistics. We're also going to try to answer some frequently asked questions that we've already gotten. And then, like we mentioned, there is the Q&A feature, so please feel free to put your burning questions in the Q&A as we go, and we'll make sure to answer them at the end. So as we go through today's presentation, I do want to remind you that we do have our University Student Housing office open all summer long, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're happy to take your calls or your emails and respond to anything, especially if you have specific questions about your move-in weekend or what that might look like for you or your student. So let's get started. Okay, so move-in at Montana State takes place over the weekend of August 18th, and we use move-in time slots to create a streamlined process for students and their families and minimize the impact on the infrastructure bottlenecks such as elevators and carts. And fall move-in weekend will begin on Sunday, August 18th. Orientation for students, so those are those students that are signed up for that August orientation. We're asking that if you're in August orientation or that last session, that you sign up for an early arrival request through the housing portal. And you'll be approved to move in early so you can make all your orientation events, but that's so that we can serve you best. That way we know you're coming, we can make sure you have all the right information about how to move in early. There's no additional charge for orientation for students that's included in your orientation registration. But again, this will provide University Student Housing with the opportunity to make sure that we're connecting with those students that are arriving early. So for all other students, move-in time slots begin as early as 8 a.m. on Sunday, August 18th, and run through 5 p.m. on Monday, August 19th. All students are expected to attend a first floor meeting or community meeting on Monday night. So please be sure that you're aiming to arrive before Monday night so we can get you some critical information. We'll talk a little bit more about those first floor meetings as we go through our slides today. Students will sign up for a move-in time slot on the housing portal. So those time slots, you'll get more information as we head into July, and time slots will release, and students will be able to sign up for the specific time that they need. The time slots are an hour time slots. You're not expected to move in within the hour completely. What we're asking is that you check in within that hour, and then you work on getting settled into your room. So making sure that we're moving through the elevators, we're getting all of our stuff unloaded within that hour, 2-hour time frame so that we can continue to move people in. If you need extra time, we want this to be a good experience. Make sure that you're just communicating that with our staff, or if you need to adjust your move-in time, please just let us know so we can help make this a good experience for you. Family members are welcome to stay as long as they'd like to help their student get settled and into their new home. There's plenty of activities that family members are invited to, so please make sure that you're taking in all Bozeman and MSU have to offer. For any students that are having trouble finding a time slot once we're open, oh, hang on, we're going too fast. Bear with me for a second. So for any folks that are not able to find a time slot that they need, my PowerPoint has a mind of its own. Okay, for any students that are not able to find a time slot they need, they simply need to reach out to our housing office and we'll work with you. We know that plane tickets are difficult to work around our time slots, or you might have other family commitments that you're working through. So please just reach out as those time slots come open, and if you have any questions. So for all other students besides Orientation 4 students, if you need to arrive early, we can accommodate that. There's an additional charge of $75 per night. We also know that a lot of students are participating in early arrival groups. So if you're in Spirit of the West Marching Band, or maybe you're doing Adventures MSU or another program on campus, and they've indicated you have early arrival, you'll get all of that information through your program. No need to worry about anything extra. They'll take care of your early arrival request and making sure that your room is set. If you have questions or you're concerned, certainly reach out so we can help ease those concerns. So during move-in weekend, obviously we talked about moving in at that pre-selected time, and that's really just so we can manage the bottlenecks. We will have volunteers on hand to help you move large items or just to assist you in welcoming you to your new home. We'll have carts. We'll also have our staff available to make sure that they direct you to the right spot. So as we get closer to move-in, our move-in day page is being updated as soon as we have new information. We'll make sure that directions and maps are being sent out. Every year we work with the City of Bozeman and University Parking Services to create traffic flow plans to really guide you to the best place to drop off your items, check in, and then move to park your vehicle. Please follow the maps that we send you. Google Maps is great, but sometimes it just doesn't direct you quite to the right spot. We've listed out some of the places that are maybe a little bit more challenging to find. So Julia Martin Apartments, they're going to check in right at Julia Martin. They don't have a front desk, but we'll have our staff out there ready to greet you. Our quad students will actually check in at Hannon Front Desk. It's a shared community, and that front desk will have all the information they need, similar to our Headwater students. So any folks living in Madison, Jefferson, or Gallatin will check in at the North Hedges front desk. Like I talked about, we're asking that students pull up to the curb with their families. You'll have a parking pass that you'll put on your dashboard. You're trying to unload very quickly so that you have the most time to get settled, but that we keep traffic moving. We want people to be able to have a good experience, and part of that is making sure that we have minimal lines. So whatever we can do to help with that, if you need help unloading, if you need help getting it up to your room, please just reach for a volunteer or one of our staff members. So a little bit more about what to bring. There's a few forms that you're going to get over your email, and that's your preferred email that you have listed in My Info. We're going to ask you to submit some pre-arrival forms. So that's going to look like a room entry notice, signing your final contract, and also agreeing to our community standards. We need you to sign those documents before we can check you in. It's really simple. You'll get an email message until you sign them. So there's a great reminder system in place, but you need to sign those pre-arrival forms before we can check you in. It doesn't take very long. I would encourage you to actually read what you're signing. You're going to be held to those community standards. We'll go over them in that first floor meeting and that community meeting, but that's a great time for you to take a look at those expectations before you come to campus. You will need either your CAT card, if you received that at orientation already, or government issued ID or some other form of official ID to check in and get your keys. The parking dashboard credential that I mentioned, it's going to be available on the move-in webpage. It's really simple to download and print. We'll also have some on hand if you forgot to print or it just wasn't on your radar, to make sure to bring that. My PowerPoint is really wanting to jump ahead, but I have just a few more things. And then if you have a hand cart or like a small dolly, you want to bring that, that's great. Like I said, we have some limited hand carts available. We have a lot of carts. They're large blue moving carts that are really easy to pile a bunch of stuff in. But the last thing we would ask is just that you bring some patience and a smile. It's a large move-in day for us. It's very exciting. We want to make it a good experience, but there might be some hiccups along the way. So we just ask that you let us know if something's not going right. So every year we get asked, what do I bring for my room, and how do I know what to bring, and what are maybe the top picks? So we went through and we have a list of kind of standard items that we recommend you bring, and I'll talk about those. And then we also asked our housing staff, what would you recommend that's maybe not on people's radar? So a couple of things. One, bringing a box fan or a tower fan is really great to help keep the rooms cool. Most of our rooms are tile or hard surface, and so folks usually like to bring an area rug or a small rug, just to have some soft surfaces in their room. We do recommend that you bring either 3M or command strips for most of our buildings. If you're living in Highlight or Yellowstone though, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that you have a small container of thumbtacks. The thumbtacks actually work better in those buildings because of the paint that we have, and that will help you be able to decorate your room and make sure that you can make your space feel like your own. A lot of these other ones are pretty common. Shower caddy, shower shoes, desk lamp, microwave, laundry basket, laundry detergent. But then a couple of the things that we always get asked about is, what should I bring to decorate the room? And our biggest recommendation is bring what's gonna make it feel like home. So if that's pictures from home, if that's a big poster, that's great. But what is gonna make your space feel like your new home? So think good about that. Obviously the rooms are smaller than maybe you're used to at home, but think about what's gonna make that space feel like yours. Lots of storage options. You can see our floor plans and room designs online, so you can start to map out what storage options might work best for you. And then a lot of the things that our housing staff recommended were things that they used as students or they've seen students use. So electric tea kettle is great for making ramen late at night or just a cup of tea or instant coffee. A large paper calendar helps, or like a whiteboard calendar helps folks keep on track with school assignments and also look ahead at maybe when those good ski days are or when they might have a trip planned. We do ask that all students carry their CAT card and keys. Keys are expensive to replace, so we would recommend if you're prone to losing your keys and CAT card that you go ahead and invest in a tile or an air tag to make sure you never lose that. Basic medications and a small first aid kit. One of our staff recommended bringing a nice outfit, so when you have those interviews or those scholarship dinners, you have something to wear. A small stool or stepladder that can fold away is great for reaching those high storage spaces. And then once again, just pictures from home to make sure that you feel like your space is your own and you can really get settled. So one of the options we do have for students is micro fridges. We work with a third partner vendor called Collegiate Concepts, and students can rent these micro fridges. It's a freezer, fridge, and microwave option. There's more information on that website off of our main housing page. They're about $199 plus tax for the academic year. If you rent by 5 p.m. or secure your rental by 5 p.m. on August 1st, we'll go ahead and make sure that fridge is in your room before you move in. So for folks coming from far away, if you don't want any hassle, feel free to use this option. If you have more questions about what this might look like for you, certainly reach out to our housing office. But this is just an option we offer for families or international students that are traveling far away. And then maybe just a little bit about what not to bring. So like I mentioned, there's limited student storage in the rooms. It's gonna look different in each of our rooms. We provide folks with a bed, a mattress, desk chair, and a trash can. Most of our beds can be lofted easily. Staff will be available to assist during move-in. Beds are set kind of at that standard bed height when you move in. If you need help, certainly reach out. All issued furniture must stay in the room and be there at time of checkout. So please don't plan to bring a lot of extra items because that's going to make the room pretty crowded. This is also where we start to recommend that you reach out to your roommate and make sure that you can coordinate. So you don't have 2 microwaves, you don't have 2 big TVs, and you can make sure that that space is used wisely. We have a few of our prohibited items here, some that we're asked about a lot. We have a full list at our community standards, which is on our website. But the big ones are no air conditioners, no space heaters, no appliances with exposed heating elements. Refrigerators have to be less than 4.5 cubic feet. No air fryers, Instant Pots, toasters, or toaster ovens, no candles or incense. You can have candles on a warmer, but you can't burn candles or incense. And then no dartboards, halogen lamps, or lava lamps. So shipping personal items. We know that a lot of people might be traveling from far away or flying on planes to get here for move-in, and we know that that can be challenging to get all your stuff here. So we do allow you to ship items ahead. Please don't ship them to arrive any earlier than August 12th. The mailing addresses are right on the next page. They're also on our website. We will store that mail for you in your residence hall, and you can pick up that mail. We ask that people wait till about 5 p.m. on Sunday or Monday to pick up that mail. That way we can kind of manage the traffic of move-in and get you what you need. These are our mailing addresses. Most of our west side of campus starts with a 200, and then most of our east side of campus starts with a 100. If you have any questions about how to address your mail, you can look at this example here. Again, we have it on our website as well. We're happy to help you coordinate kind of how you can get things here in advance. And so some of you might still be waiting on a room assignment. With every cancellation we receive, we are immediately filling it with students. We're making sure that all of our students have a room assignment first. That's our primary goal. All first-year students are guaranteed a bed space for move-in, so please don't be worrying about that. We're just trying to make sure that we are putting you in a space that's going to work for you. So at this point, we're manually matching roommates to ensure that we've made the best matches possible. I'm going to talk about room change requests here in a minute, but just know that if you're still waiting, it's because we've only currently assigned applications up through the middle of March. So if you've applied after March, then you're still in the queue. We just haven't gotten to your application yet. Okay, so a little bit about room and roommate change requests. So you can actually make those online through the housing portal. It's called a room change form, and you're going to indicate what you want to change about your room. So don't just say I want a new room. If you can give us as many details as possible, it's going to ask for your preferences. If you're making a roommate request, go ahead and put that in there. Both people have to request that roommate. Both people have to request each other in order for us to even look at that. We are going to look at room change requests, but just know we're still working through people who haven't gotten their initial room assignment. The room change request on the portal will close on August 1st, and that's just an opportunity for us to kind of slow things down and really focus on move-in and making sure that everybody is comfortable and ready to move in on August 18th. The room change request form will reopen on the first day of classes, which is August 21st. Now, meal plan changes are a little bit different. Meal plan changes can be processed automatically. So again, that's through the housing portal. You'll submit that change and it processes automatically. Now, students can upgrade their meal plan at any point in the semester, meaning you can always go from a 5-day to a 7-day meal plan, but you can't downgrade after the first 2 weeks. So if you come to school and you're interested in going from a 7-day meal plan to a 5-day meal plan, you have 2 weeks to make that decision. Again, if you have questions about meal plan changes or room changes, please reach out to our office. We're more than happy to walk you through that. Something else that we would just want to point out is that room and board rates are posted now on the University Student Housing webpage. And people always ask us what's included. So internet access is included, housing during Thanksgiving and spring break. And something that I really want to highlight is this year, laundry is built into our room and board rates. So laundry won't cost anything additional for any students that are living in the residence halls. They'll be able to access laundry in their residence halls. In some halls, it's on the floors, and in some places, it's in common areas where they're all together, but there won't be any additional costs for laundry. And so that's something else as you are thinking about budgeting for the semester. Hopefully that provides some relief. And then your meal plan is obviously included in that. Our refund schedule is posted on the website as well. Please take a look at this. This sometimes catches people off guard, but our refund schedule, we only provide refunds through the first about 6 weeks. So please make sure you're taking a look at that. And then the last thing is that fees don't post until July. So if you're out there and you're trying to get everything taken care of before you get here, you might not see those room and board fees quite yet. So make sure that you're paying attention. You'll get a notice that you have an active bill or a bill that's waiting for you. Again, if it's July and you don't have a bill yet and you're worried, please reach out so we can help you work through that. And then just a note that any student who's approved to cancel their housing contract, meaning maybe you moved in and then something happened and you got to leave MSU, you will be charged a $300 cancellation fee, even if you are getting a refund or you're owed maybe the 100% refund because of when you moved in. Just know that there's always going to be a $300 cancellation fee. And if you have more questions about your specific situation, if that were to arise, again, reach out. There's a theme. We'd love to be able to talk with you one-on-one about your situation. And then everyone's favorite topic, parking passes. So every year we get asked about parking. Most of our students want to park near the residence hall, and those parking lots are considered bison lots. So parking permits are managed and sold by parking services. So if you have questions, again, specific to your situation, please make sure that you're reaching out to parking services because they're going to be able to answer your questions so much easier than we will. I do know that students must be registered for classes or orientation 4 in order to purchase a parking pass on August 1st. And then, like I said, students living on campus are eligible for bison permits or stadium parking. And then Julia Martin apartments are the folks that do have a different parking pass. They should purchase a family housing pass because of where their parking is nearest to their apartments. We've had a couple of questions about what if, as a student, I'm eligible for ADA parking. You're still required to have a parking pass, and then you can work with parking services to see what you might need to do extra as far as knowing where the ADA parking spots are on campus or anything else you need to do in terms of accessibility. Okay, so I promised to talk a little bit about some of the opening events, and we're really excited about this every year. So Every year there's a lot of traditional events that we put on with University Student Housing. We also put on in conjunction with our Office of Student Engagement and ASMSU. And the thing about MSU debut, or those opening weeks, is that this is a time for everybody to get involved and get to know each other, and make sure that there's an opportunity to really engage in your community. So this is the time for you to branch out, to challenge yourself, to get to know people, to go trying new things. So it's going to start on Sunday, August 18th. We're going to have a food truck rodeo. It's an annual event. It's great. We bring in a lot of local food trucks. We have games and activities and live music. Students are able to choose from a variety of options to eat, and students eat free. There's also cash sales if family members want to join, but it's just a great night to kick off your experience here at MSU. Like I said, on Monday night, we are going to have what we call first floor meetings or community meetings. They're going to start in the evening. They won't start any earlier than 5 p.m., but all students are required to attend their first floor meeting with their resident advisor and community director. We're going to cover resources, expectations, and we're also going to highlight some of the events that we're going to. For all of the opening events, we'll have staff that'll meet folks in the lobby of the building and walk over together. So that way there's no excuse for not going or getting involved. But this is one of those required events that we want to make sure that all of our students attend so that they get to know their staff. Then on Tuesday is a big day. So in the afternoon, we're going to take an M photo. And this is all first year students are gathering to create the iconic M. And it's a big photo to kick off the year. It's a nice reflection after 4 or 5 years when you're ready to graduate on what that first week felt like. Right after the M photo, we're going to move over into convocation, which again is another annual event. This year's speaker is Tommy Orange. He wrote the book There. And he's an Indigenous author who's going to help kick off our year and really talk about how maybe encourage students to think about what they want their year to be like. And not just their first year, but what do all 4 years look like, or again, 5, look like here at MSU, and how can you make sure that folks are really coming together to serve their community. Right after that, we're going to move into the first meal. And this is, again, I keep saying traditional, but it's so much fun. So we're going to host a first meal right after convocation. It's going to be outside and a great time to sit down with people from your floor or community or get to know new people. On the first day of school, everyone's a little bit nervous about finding the right spot in the classroom. And so we're going to have faculty and staff out on campus ready to direct you to your classes. And so if you can't figure out quite what AJM stands for, you'll be able to ask someone and make sure that you arrive to your first class on time. We also have the President's Ice Cream Social. So the president hosts this every year. She's going to be passing out ice cream in the middle of campus near the mall. So please stop by to get a popsicle. I promise there's no learning. We're just hoping that you have a sweet treat to end your first day of school. Then wrapping up the week, Catapalooza is an opportunity for all student organizations, in-town resources and organizations, and also on-campus departments to come together. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. Students can not only find out ways to get involved on campus, but if you have that last-minute question or something you didn't get taken care of, it's a great chance to stop by booths and make sure that your questions get answered before you go into your first weekend. And then that night we have a debut concert. The band has not been announced yet. We're all waiting on pins and needles to see who it'll be, but it's a great time to come out, enjoy some concert on the lawn right after dinner. And then Saturday and Sunday is really when we start to give back. So here at MSU, we believe strongly in making sure that the community not only is supportive of MSU and the Bobcat students, but also that we give back to our community. And so Service Saturday is a monthly tradition here. All you have to do is show up, and we'll make sure that you're connected with organizations that you might feel passionate about, and you can give some time back. And then Sunday is Rockin' the M. So the M is painted on the Bridger foothills, and a bunch of us hike up there with paint and rocks and make sure that we can make it look nice and cleaned up for the next year. And so now I know I've cruised fast, but I want to make sure that we have time to go through some of these frequently asked questions, and then we'll also get to some of the questions that you all have been putting in the Q&A. And so again, these are questions that have either come in on your registrations or questions that we're getting in our offices. So the first question, when will students receive their assignment? Most applications, like I said, are assigned up through middle of March. We're pushing those assignments out on a rolling basis, so there's no more big push outs of a bunch of assignments. As we're able to make an assignment, we're making sure that that student has that assignment information and roommate information. All meal plans, again with the PowerPoint, all meal plans will start on Sunday with breakfast, and that's August 18th. So if you're moving in on Sunday, August 18th, you should have access to your meal plan right away. I will say for orientation for students, your meals are included when you are able to move in on Saturday. Is it a good idea to bring a bike? Really, this comes down to personal preference. We do have bike racks around the halls. There are secure bike storage in a few of our halls. You are encouraged to get a good lock for your bike if you're going to store it outside, and to register your bike with University Police. You can store your bike in your room if there's space available, but they can't be stored in public areas, and we don't have any other storage for bikes. We get asked a lot about personal storage items, or if there's any like open student storage. We have limited storage options in the room. Some have more than others. Again, happy to talk through those options, but we do not provide summer storage or long-term storage for students. I mentioned ski lockers and secure bike storage. So ski lockers are available for rent in Hapner, Yellowstone, and Highlight. Covered secured bike storage is available in Highlight and Yellowstone. And so only those students that are assigned to those halls are eligible for those storage options. In July, students assigned to those halls will receive an email that outlines the process of requesting a space. And then once you're approved, you'll get another email with the contract and a request for payment. And the cost is $60 per year for the academic year. So what happens over winter break? Can I stay in my room? So students can pre-register to stay over winter break for a nightly rate billed to the student account. It's usually pretty reasonable, no more than $50 per night. And students can remain in their assigned room. There's no need to move. You don't have to pack up all your stuff. And you can sign up for as many or as few days as you want or need to stay over winter break. There are no guests allowed during winter break, and the dining halls are closed. Are there any transportation options for students flying to and from campus? So there's no designated transportation options to and from Bozeman Airport. Uber is a popular option, but if you were to arrive late during move-in or like late at night or at any point during the year, we do have front desks at the residence halls that are open 24/7, and you can check in at any point. We're happy to make sure that you can get into your room. Where would you recommend a student can stay the couple days before they can move in? So students and parents, you're welcome to get a hotel. If possible, I would call early to make that reservation. It is a popular time in Bozeman, not only for move-in and the start of school, but just in terms of visitors to the city and the area. Students can apply for early arrival into the halls. All requests are reviewed on an individual basis, and the need for availability, and approved students will be charged $75 per night. I talked about this a little bit, but if you're registered for an early move-in program, you should get information from your campus group that you're working with. So again, if that's Adventures MSU or Spirit of the West Marching Band, whatever that might be, that on-campus department is going to work with you to provide all the information you need. You will get information from housing in August with the details about where to pick up your keys and how to move in early. You do not need to sign up for a move-in time, that Sunday and Monday where there's move-in times. You're moving in early. We have you on our roster. You don't need to sign up for an additional time during the scheduled move-in times. Okay, so what if you meet the best person at orientation or even in your hometown, or somehow you meet them and you believe that you just want to be roommates and you're wondering how they can make that happen? So you can submit a room change request via the housing portal. Both students must request each other, like I mentioned. We're working really hard to make sure that everyone has a bed space. So while we're reviewing roommate requests, there's no guarantee. So we are considering those. We're looking at those on a daily basis, but there's no guarantee. If you're concerned about your housing assignment, or you're concerned that you haven't gotten one yet or want to know where you're at, please reach out. We're happy to talk to you. And then finally, what happens if I don't get along with my roommate? How can my RA help me? So resident advisors are there on the floors and in the community to provide resources and that mentorship. They can also help you navigate a roommate agreement. So we're going to ask all roommates to fill out a roommate agreement when you first move in, but sometimes things change or your preferences change, and we want to make sure that everybody has a good experience. So we're going to ask roommates to sit down first and have a conversation with the RA or the community director, but we'll never leave you in a bad spot. So if it gets to the point where it's no longer a tenable situation and we've tried mediation, we've tried other things, we're going to make sure that you have a spot where you can feel safe and comfortable. Finally, I just want to highlight that we are currently hiring for student desk clerks, student custodians, tour guides, and housing ambassadors. We've got plenty of jobs and we provide flexible scheduling and competitive wages. So if you're interested, visit this website, come work with us. All of our job applications are posted there and you can get more information. And then now, after I've cruised through that presentation, we're happy to take maybe more Q&A that have come through on the chat.
Okay, thank you, Corinne. Sorry, I was just typing out a response, so it went so fast. Okay, so I do have quite a few questions for you. Some of them you have covered already, but I noticed that they were, you can't even see me. Okay. I noticed that they were asked quite a few times in the chat as well. So I just want to make sure that we're going over them again, getting answers for everybody who needs them. So the very first question that I think was asked quite a lot throughout the live Q&A was just for clarification, how does the move-in sign up work and when can students sign up for a move-in time?
Great question. So move-in time slots are not yet live. You will do that through the housing portal. So you'll log in where you applied for housing. You'll make sure that everything is correct. You'll see your room assignment, and then it'll have you sign up for an appointment. That's what it's going to be called. And there'll be appointment times that are released only for, you're going to sign up for your hall. So if I'm moving into North Hedges, my PowerPoint has a mind of its own. If I'm moving into North Hedges, I'm going to see the time slots for North Hedges. The thing that I do want to highlight is if you don't have a room assignment yet, you won't be able to sign up for a move-in time because it doesn't know what building to put you in. That doesn't mean that's the time for you to panic. That means that we're going to make sure that you have a spot to move in. So we hold back move-in time slots. We make sure that there's space to accommodate people that have last-minute requests or family things coming up. But in general, if you have a room assignment, you're able to log into the portal in July and you'll be able to pick your appointment time. You'll get a confirmation, and then that's when you're expected to come check in. It's going to give you like an hour window to come check in at the desk. Again, that's not the time frame you have to move all your items in. We're just saying check in, pick up your keys, and get your stuff unloaded within that hour, 2-hour time frame so that we can keep people moving.
Perfect, thank you. Also on the topic of you mentioned room change requests. When it comes to room change requests, are they on a first come, first serve basis?
Great question. So the room change process does look at application date. So when we're looking at room change requests, we are looking at that initial application date and when you put in the room change request. So it's first going to look at application date. So if you applied in October and someone else applied in March for the same space, let's say we only have one room, we're going to look at that October application first before we look at the March one.
Perfect. And with that, just to clarify again, if students have a room change request on July 8th, when those are opening up, can they still sign up for a move-in time or no?
Yep, so as long as you have an active room assignment, you'll be able to sign up for a move-in time. And then what happens is if you, let's say you get a room change after you've signed up for a move-in time, we're working on the back end to make sure that that time gets adjusted and moved over to the correct hall. So if you originally signed up for North Hedges at 8 a.m. on Sunday, but now you're moving into Hafner, we're gonna make sure that you still have an 8 a.m. check-in, but it's at Hafner now instead of North.
Perfect, thank you. And how can students check what their housing assignment is? Where is that available for them to view?
That's great. It's in your housing portal. So most of the information or any kind of resources about your housing assignment are going to be found in that housing portal. So it's a great idea to start logging in now, even if you feel like you've covered all your bases or you've filled out all the applications and the forms that you need to go ahead and log in and make sure, one, you remember how to log in and you know your password. But that way we can help you before it's critical time or you feel like there's pressure to sign up for a move-in time. But you should be able to see your room assignment when you log into your housing portal.
Perfect. Are there any options for students who don't live in a residence hall with any equipment storage? Is there any space available for them on campus for them to keep their equipment elsewhere?
There is not. So in terms of, I think you're referring to like ski lockers or bikes in like secure bike storage or ski lockers or other places to store your skis. There's not. But I will say ski lockers and secure bike storage are pretty new for us here on campus. They're in some of our newer or renovated halls. And so for years, people have been coming to MSU with the intent to ski and bike, and they've found creative ways to store their skis or snowboards in their room. And then with bikes, just working to make sure they have a secure storage. Even some of our outdoor bike racks are covered. They're just not in that cat card locked facility.
Perfect. And how do students receive their CAT cards?
Great. So if you're at orientation, we're really encouraging, well, even from afar, you can download the Get app and upload a picture so that we can go ahead and pre-print your CAT card. If you're at orientation or going to be attending orientation sometime this summer, you can make sure to come pick up your CAT card so you have it for move-in. Otherwise, if you've uploaded a photo and have that done before move-in, we'll try to have that at the front desk. So when you check in, you get your keys and you also get your CAT card. Otherwise, you can pick it up at any other time if you're not able to upload the photo once you're here on campus. You will need that to check in. If you are checking in late at night and you didn't get your CAT card uploaded, don't worry, we have options for you. But it is a really good idea to go ahead and upload that photo, and then that way we can get that printed for you to pick up when you check in.
Perfect. And for students, do they need to purchase rental insurance before they attend in the fall?
So we do recommend that folks have rental insurance or have extended their homeowner's insurance policy. Some folks are able to work through that with family members, right? They have a homeowner's insurance policy and they've extended it to their space here on campus. The rental insurance, we do partner with GradGuard. I believe it's about $11 per month, and it covers basic rental insurance. The reason we recommend it is because we're not liable if there were to be anything happen in your room or if you were to cause damage in your room. So if there is a natural disaster or if something gets lost, rental insurance usually covers that. I would encourage you to look at the policy, but that's a good option for people. It's usually really affordable. You can sign up as you're going through the housing application process, but we also have a link right off our website. So if you missed it in the application process, you can go ahead and click on that information and go ahead and get signed up still.
Perfect. Back to room change requests, because a lot of questions in the live chat are about this. How long typically does it take for a room change request to be processed? And then how are students notified if they are approved for that request?
It's really hard for us to gauge how long it might take because each room change request is different, right? So in some cases, a student might be requesting to move from a very popular option, maybe like a single option in a brand new hall, to maybe a less popular option or just even a double room. And that's maybe a lot easier switch because we have more people that want single rooms than we do. Well, we have more people that want single rooms and there's fewer of them than there are double rooms, right? So it's really hard for us to gauge what the request is and how long it might take. I will say, I think the next question was about when you might get notified. So you'll get an email with your room change. So when that room change is made, we're going to go ahead and you'll get an automatic email that you have a new room assignment, and it'll say that information in the email. You can certainly check in with us, but sometimes it's really frustrating for us too because we don't really have a clear idea of how long it might be. Certainly as we get closer into summer and closer to the August 1st date, it's going to be less and less likely that we're able to accommodate that before move-in. But I also remind folks that a lot of times we're going to encourage you to move in and try it out. Like try out the roommate that you don't know, try out the hall that maybe wasn't your first choice. It's going to be a great experience no matter where you are. It's what you make of it. And then after we get open, we usually have a lot of movement, or there's maybe some people that didn't show up, or we're able to accommodate things in a different way. So give it some time, try it out, and then if you're still interested in that room change, you can go ahead and submit the change request again, and there might be more opportunity once we're open in the fall and people have kind of settled in.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a specific curfew that is enforced at all residence halls for freshman students? Does it depend on the RA?
Those are great questions. So there's no curfew. Our buildings are all secured 24/7. We have restricted access. So all students will have to use their CAT card to swipe into their building, and you can only swipe into the building that you are assigned to. So there's no curfew, but the building is already secured 24/7. I would recommend that as students you think about when you want to be home and what responsibilities you might have. And we'd encourage you to make good choices, but there's no curfew. You can stay out as late as you want or come home as early as you want.
Perfect, thank you. Another question that we had, so a lot of students are going to be having some type of event that requires them to move in early, whether that is marching band or adventures or expeditions or whatever. Do they have to pay an extra fee in order to move into the residence hall early? And do they have to request it specifically?
So the question, I believe both questions are no. So one, with programs, when you're involved in a program, there's usually already an additional cost where that early arrival fee is built into the programmatic cost. So the times that students are going to have to pay separately to move in early are when you're not part of a program, because oftentimes with adventures or expeditions or like marching band, either the program is covering the cost or you've covered it through a registration fee some other way. You do not need to sign up for an early arrival time. If you have any questions, or maybe you did accidentally sign up for an early arrival time, like, we're going to help reconcile that on the back, but you should go to your program first. So whatever program you're working with that's saying, hey, you need to move in early, go ahead and work with them first, because they're going to have all the information and they get us a great big list or a roster of who needs to move in early. The things that maybe sometimes get messy are if you have an on-campus job that's looking for you to start early, but they're not necessarily covering your early arrival. So if you're just working for a job, I would clarify with them, hey, I'm living in the residence halls. Are you working with University Student Housing to cover my early arrival fee, or is that something I'd be responsible for on my own? And we can also help navigate that. If you call our office and you're like, hey, I'm in this group, I don't know if I have an early arrival or not, we can make sure that you're all covered.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And just to go over a couple of questions that I know were answered in the presentation, but I think would be great to go over again, just because I have seen them so much. Do any students, parents, family members need to bring any type of tools with them on move-in day?
You don't need to bring any tools. Most of the beds use a rubber mallet to do the lofting. We have some rubber mallets available. If you want to bring one and it's easy to throw in your car, that's a great additional item. But there's really no other tools that you need to bring. We have most standard tools, or like, you're trying to put something together and you have a screwdriver. We have a lot of that for you. If you have items that you're bringing that will need assembly, I would bring the tools that you need for that. But should you run into an issue, we have most of the basic tools at our front desk. Students, you can come down and check them out. There's no cost.
Perfect. And in order to check those out, they don't have to make reservations in advance, correct? They just head to the front desk of their residence
Correct.
hall.
It's a first come, first serve. You don't have to make reservations. We just ask that you keep it for a reasonable amount of time and then turn it back in when you're done.
Perfect. And then how soon can students ship items to campus?
We'd ask that they don't arrive any earlier than August 12th, mainly because we just don't have the storage capacity to start collecting mail. Our front desk will start to go into fall mode around that time when we switch over from our summer operation. So on or around August 12th would be great. I know that sometimes, you ship things, they tell you it's going to be there on the 16th and then it comes earlier. That's always a great thing. If you know that a package is going to arrive earlier, even with your best intentions, just give us a heads up so that we don't return to sender. We do our best to look through our roster and our bookings to make sure we're not returning it. But if you know a package is coming early and you just, for whatever reason it got messed up, just make sure you let us know so that we can keep an eye out for it.
And where will those packages be for students to pick up once they actually get to campus and are moving in?
Yeah, so all the mail goes to your front desk of your hall. So there's a few exceptions. Julia Martin Apartments, that mail is delivered to community mailboxes, and then packages are delivered outside of the apartment, except during the summer. And then for all other students that are living in traditional residence halls, that'll be at your front desk. So we'll have that mail there. We're asking that while we're dealing with the hustle and bustle of those move-in time slots during the day, that you don't try to come down and get your mail, that you wait until about dinner time so that we can make sure that we can get you your package and you can get settled. If you need something right away, certainly reach out. We'll do our best to accommodate. Try not to ship anything critical, like medications or something that you might need right when you show up. But certainly ship those bigger items so that you don't have to travel with them.
And I can see that this is being asked a lot, or at least talked about a lot in the Q&A. I think some people are having difficulty seeing their housing assignment in their housing portal. What would you recommend for the people who just can't see it in their housing portal, but they know that they have been assigned housing?
Yeah, I would recommend they just reach out to us so we can clarify that. They can just send an email, housing@montana.edu. We're happy to verify their room assignment and make sure that they can know where they're assigned. They should have received an email. That's another great place to check in. But if you just want double check, we can certainly look that up for you, and we're happy to make sure that you have your housing assignment.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question here. How can students check if they have been approved for an early move-in time after they request it?
So early arrivals, you'll get an email from our assignments team that says you've been approved for an early arrival. Here's the information you need to know. If for some reason you feel like it's been several weeks and you haven't heard back, we're starting to approve those now. So if you submitted one a while ago, we didn't start looking at those until just recently so that we can pay attention to like where people are assigned and what that might look like. But you should get an email that says you've been approved for early arrival. You can, again, I feel like the main message is you can always call our office and we can double check for you, but email is our primary form of communication with students, especially with bookings and early arrival information.
Perfect. And another question, are there any transportation options in the area for students who are maybe arriving a little later in the evening because of late flights? If they do arrive a little later in the evening, what would be their move-in process?
Yeah.
Say like after hours, after 6 p.m. or
Mhm.
something like that.
So there's no like MSU transportation options from the airport. The airport is not very far away. It's about 10 miles away, maybe 15 miles away from campus itself. Uber is a popular option for people that are arriving by themselves to take up to campus. If you come anytime after your move-in time, or if you're going to be arriving late on Sunday night or Monday night or whenever you might get in, our desks are open. You can check in. So as long as you're arriving after Sunday at 8 a.m., you can check in at any point. So let's say you were supposed to check in at noon, but now your flight doesn't get here until 7. That's okay. You don't need to call us. You don't need to tell us. All you got to do is show up and we'll get you checked in. If something happens too where you arrive earlier than anticipated, maybe you were driving a long way and you made it in time, certainly just check in with us. If we have time and we're not taxing any of our resources like elevators or volunteers, we're going to get you moved in early. That doesn't mean show up early just on the off chance that we have some space, but certainly if you are running into a bind or your move-in time is no longer going to work for you, even if it's last minute, just reach out. We're happy to work with you.
Perfect. Speaking of move-in times, do roommates move in at the same time or do they choose separate move-in times? Do you recommend one over the other?
So roommates will have to each individually sign up for a move-in time, or again, if one is arriving after hours, they don't need to sign up for a move-in time. So maybe that's a point to clarify as we're talking about this. If you're not going to be arriving between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Sunday or 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Monday, you don't need to sign up for a move-in time. That's really to manage those high traffic periods for us. But if you're arriving Sunday night or you just want to have a quieter move-in experience, I would recommend coming in the evening on those 2 days. Reminder, Monday night, we're having those community meetings. But if you want to go to your meeting and then get your stuff moved in, that's certainly an option. Roommates will have to come at separate times. They could essentially try to sign up for the same time, but it's certainly not necessary. Both roommates will have to pick up keys and check in though. So sometimes roommates try to coordinate that. Sometimes it just doesn't work with family or travel schedules, but you don't have to, you can. It is nice to at least talk beforehand about maybe how you want to set up the room or what you're bringing. So even if you're moving in at separate times, you have an idea of what it's going to look like.
And then is it possible on your slideshow to go back to the list of employee recommendations of what to
Yeah.
bring to the residence hall? We
Let's
had
see
a
if my
request here.
PowerPoint has a mind of its own or not. But here are some of the top picks that we pulled from our student staff and our professional staff. I would say the biggest ones that people forget about are like basic medications. A lot of times students rely on parents having Tylenol or ibuprofen or even cold medicine. So keeping those things in mind and making sure you have maybe just a supply or you pick that up when you get here. A nice outfit, that's something that people tend to forget as well. Just something that you could dress professional, whether you had a dinner that you had to go to or an interview. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
definitely recommend the little step ladder, especially
Yes.
if you are just a small person in general, but especially if you end up lofting your bed or
Mhm.
getting it a little bit higher, you should definitely bring a step stool just to be safe. So I have asked a bunch of questions about transportation and that kind of stuff. What kind of transportation is available on campus for students? I know we talked about parking passes and maybe bikes. Are there any other options for students at all?
We do usually highlight Streamline, which is our bus service. So part of your student fees help support Streamline. It's a fare-free service, so there's no additional fare, and it runs all over town. So there is a stop here at the Strand Union building, or a sub, and it runs pretty consistently. There's also bus service up to Bridger and Big Sky, which are two ski hills and local operations for us. So there are options for folks that don't bring a car or can't bring a car. I certainly didn't have a car my first year as a student on campus at MSU, and I was from out of state, and I made it work. You certainly don't feel like you have to bring a car on campus. I feel like all of us would say that campus is really walkable. It's really easy to get from even our farthest residence halls up to campus or into classrooms. It's really not that far. A lot of people ride their bikes during the summer months or longboard, but most people walk.
Yeah, I always try to tell families that you cannot drive through campus.
Yep.
You have to drive all the way around campus. So if you were hoping to get from one end of campus to the other or get to a class faster by driving, it would
No.
1000% be faster just to walk instead.
Yes.
Perfect. So, very last question that I have for you is just about Cat Cash. I know that that's an option for students to add on
Mhm.
to their meal plan or just load onto their student ID card as they go throughout the year. Can you
Mhm.
explain what Cat Cash is used for across campus?
Yeah, so the primary use for Cat Cash used to be laundry. That was a big way that students spent their Cat Cash, but you can use it at a lot of our food operations around campus. So there are other dining options up here in the Strand Union that you can use your Cat Cash at. It's essentially that extra kind of a debit plan. So if you look at our meal plans, we have 4 options. The difference between the two 7-day is literally $150 that we just preload onto your cat card. You can load money at any time through that Get app. If you need more money, some people like to start out with maybe $50 or something less and then kind of see how they spend it. There's a big list on the Cat Card website about where you can use your Cat Cash, so I'd encourage you to look there. It stays on there, so you don't have to worry about it like expiring or going away. So you can it's a little bit harder to withdraw the Cat Cash, but that's certainly an option. You would get a refund for that money, but I would just encourage you to think about what's going to work for you and know that you can always add more. So if you're feeling like there's a lot of pressure to make a decision, maybe go with the silver meal plan and then add Cat Cash as you need it through that Get app.
Perfect. That is the very last question that I had for you, Corinne. So
Great.
thank you so much for answering all of our questions. I know it was a lot, and thank you to everybody who attended tonight. We really appreciate it. I hope that you got all of your questions answered. If you didn't, you can always email the admissions office, email student housing. We are happy to help out. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, a recording of this will be automatically sent to you if you registered for this webinar already. So that will be sent out tomorrow. So thank you again for attending. We really look forward to seeing you this fall. We will see you all in August. And as always, go Cats!